feel like we're off to a really good start this year. Back in April, early April, Kate and I spread some lime on one of our fields that we needed some lime on to bring up the pH. We had a soil sample, I think 2 years ago, and it was like 5.1, so we ended up putting a lot of lime on last fall, and then we did it again this spring. You know, they say you can put about 2,000 pounds of lime per acre, and anything more than that is just going to be a waste. So just kind of going to do it in slow increments, but we had a pretty good turnout there last year. So another thing we also did, middle of April, Kate and I came up and removed some trees that were in our food plots that just weren't helping our food plots at all. They were robbing the moisture out of it and getting the shade, and so we didn't have a lot of growth underneath those areas. And the other thing it does is it just makes it a pain in the butt to work around and try to get your equipment to plant. So we removed those, got those out of the way. So I think we got a really good start to the year, and I'm really happy how things are coming out. Here we are, May 18th, out at the food plots again this afternoon. Our first task of the afternoon was to move our redneck blind. We had it set up on the west side of the field because it was just good access, but we felt that we didn't have a lot of opportunities with a lot of deer that were in range of us, so we decided to move it to a spot that's a little bit more beneficial for bow hunting. It's right in the pinch between our two fields. We figure that's going to give us a lot better opportunity come this fall. We're after a deer called Speckles. We've had him here for several years, hoping that he made it through the winter. He should be about 6.5 this year. And our goal is to try to set up this whole food plot just to kill that deer. So today what we're going to do is get planting on our food plots, and we've got a couple different strategies that we're going to utilize this year. This year we're going to really try to funnel them down in front of that redneck and give us the best opportunity to kill that deer. So in one half on the west side of the field, we're going to plant some grain sorghum, which is going to give us a little bit of a screen coming into that redneck, so our entry and exit are going to be really good off of this food plot. Because one of the hardest things here is to try to get out of here at night when the deer are utilizing this food plot. So we think that sorghum is really going to help us out. It's also going to act as a winter feed for the deer. In a small plot like this, if you try to plant corn, usually it just gets decimated before it ever gets any corn established. So I think this sorghum is going to hopefully help. It's going to be kind of a trial and error method, but we'll see what happens. And then what we're going to do is just inside of that to the east, we're going to plant a green strip, because the deer like to come out in the north end of this field. And if we plant that in green right alongside that grain sorghum, hopefully that'll transition those guys right to that pinch in that field and right in front of that redneck. And then on the other side, we're going to plant another row or two of sorghum. And again, that will basically create a little chute where the deer kind of feel protected, and hopefully they'll feed on that clover right in the middle of that. And then on the other side of the field, we're going to do an annual clover, which is basically going to be a till down mix. So come fall, we'll put a brassica blend in there, but at least for the summer, it'll give some nutrients back into that soil. And I feel like this setup that we have is hopefully going to work. We just got to get the right rain and hopefully get these seeds to germinate real quick and get growing right away. So we're going to go ahead and get planting. Well, we got the annual clover all in. We're going to go ahead and get started with this. This is a multi-clover mix with some chicory in it, so we'll see how it works. Last weekend we were here, we got all the clover seed in the ground, but we just ran out of daylight. So we didn't quite get the rest of our food plots planted, but today we're gonna put in our grain sorghum, which will be the last of our food plots. It says 6 pounds per quarter acre, and I can't imagine we have a whole lot more than that, maybe a half at the most. And again, we talked about it last week. We're gonna try to set up a screen in front of our Redneck blind a little bit, and we're also gonna try to funnel these deer past the blind a little bit by using this grain sorghum. Hopefully, being that it's a little taller, they'll try to take the path of least resistance right through that clover swatch that we have between the two fields here and that funnel that we've created. So we're gonna try to get this in the ground. They are calling for rain tomorrow, so it should be about perfect. So we're gonna use the grain drill again. We'll get that started off and hopefully finish this project up today. Well, and that's gonna wrap up this season for food plotting. Now we just gotta hope for some rain. And until next time, scout them, hunt them, tag them. Here we are, June 7th. Just kind of an update on the food plots that we planted this spring. And looks like the clover's coming up pretty good. We've had an abundance of rain over the last few weeks, so that's really good for our food plots. Now we just need a little bit of warm weather and a little bit of sun. And I think this stuff's really gonna pop. Looks like the stuff we planted 2 weeks ago, the sorghum, is also starting to sprout. That's a couple weeks behind, or at least a week behind the clover. So I'll go ahead and give you a pan of what this thing's looking like, but I think it could be really good come this fall. Pretty anxious to see what this is going to turn out like.